Hello and welcome to Super Northwest. My name's Andy and today we've come down to the banks of the Manchester Ship Canal. Okay, so our first stop today is the Cadishead railway viaduct. Now this viaduct runs across the Ship Canal from Partington to Earlham, which is just outside Manchester. Now this bridge was built to accommodate large shipping. Now there's still the remains of the old railway, because initially there was a smaller bridge which was knocked down to make way for the big viaduct. Now the remains of this old bridge are still there. So we'll take a little look at that. In black we've got like the main run up to the viaduct which clears the canal. Now this was built roughly 2 years before the canal was completed. Obviously it was built to coincide with the opening of the canal. But that's our first stop, and on to our second stop, which is a bit further down towards Runcorn. It's a place called Wig Island, but the main place I'm interested in is a place called the Wharf. This is an old quayside, an old dock. Now, it was also nicknamed the Guinness Berth because it's where all the Guinness used to come in from Ireland to supply the northwest of England. There was an old factory here, which is an old copper works, which used to extract copper from the ore. This dock is actually still used today. Now, after we've been here, we're going to make a move to a place called the Old Quay Swing Bridge. Which is quite an old swing bridge, but it's still in use today. Luckily, I actually caught a ship going through. Managed to grab my camera and get some footage of it opening up and stuff. So that's quite interesting. But the side story to our film today is about some of the bridges, the people that built the bridges and the canal, some of the vessels which sailed up and down, past and present, but also as a side story to it, some of the more sinister vessels that came up. The Royal Navy in the First and Second World War actually captured a number of U-boats. Now, 2 of them were sailed up, once in the First World War, once in the Second World War, right up the canal. So more of that later. Let's go and have a look at the Cadishead railway viaduct. Now this bridge was built in the late 1800s and it's got multi-lattice girder construction, which seems to be dead popular at the late 1800s. There's a lot of bridges round from where I'm from, down in Liverpool, seem to be constructed of all this kind of materials. It must have been state-of-the-art engineering at the time. I'll try and look into more of the background to it. Now, can you imagine being one of the bricklayers who built this bridge out in all weathers? No proper scaffolding or harnesses like we've got today. It's just like if you fell off, it's your own fault kind of thing. So the viaduct was built in 1892 by the Cheshire Lines Committee, and it was part of the Glazebrook to Woodley main line. It was opened to traffic in 1893, firstly to a freight service, and then later the same year open to passengers. So in 1964 it became goods only, and in 1980 it needed really expensive repairs, so British Rail just decided to close it. The bridge is all closed off now because if you go and have a look underneath it, there's a lot of holes in it and stuff like that. It's obviously unsafe, so they've shut it all off so you can't get in for good reason. Now I'm down here at an old quayside called the Wharf, which is based down at Wig Island near Runcorn. Now, not sure what this was used for exactly, obviously docking ships, but I believe there was an old chemical factory around here somewhere. They used to make mustard gas during the war, but before that there was an earlier factory somewhere, and they used to extract copper from the ore. This is a boat called Loach. It's a general cargo ship which was built in 1968, still going strong today. And while I was down at the quayside, I got talking to the guy that runs the boat, and at the time he was delivering wheat from Warburton's bakery. He also told me that this berth used to be nicknamed the Guinness berth, which is where all the Guinness used to come in. Now, they started work on this canal in 1887 and it was completed in 1894. It took about 7 years to build. There was almost 16,000 men and women that actually worked on the canal. A lot of it was dug out by hand. I don't think this guy is going to get any more soil in that wheelbarrow. It's not surprising that it only took a few years to dig this canal out. There was a couple of machines involved which I'll go into later, but initially it was built because over in Liverpool the cartels were charging an absolute fortune for ships to be docked. So obviously that cost was passed on. So a group of businessmen from Manchester got together along with funding from the city council and they built this canal. This is the CEG Universe. It's typical of the type of ship still using the canal today, and it's registered in Latvia. It's a general purpose cargo ship that can often be seen sailing up and down the Mersey to the canal. It makes regular visits to Ireland and up and down around the Scottish coast. Now, the first company to operate on a Manchester ship canal was Manchester Liners. They were founded in 1898 by a company called Furnace Withy & Co. Their main route was Manchester to Canada and back, with often tours to the Mediterranean. Now, during the two World Wars, the company had many ships attacked and sunk, never to return home to the canal. So, in the First and Second World Wars, the Royal Navy captured a couple of German U-boats. The first one, U-1, in the First World War, and the second one, U-1023. Now, these machines were responsible for sending tons of ships to the bottom of the sea. So how chilling would it have been to see a German U-boat float up this great waterway and right into the heart of Manchester. This is U-Treble 1. It was captured in 1918 and was displayed in Manchester, where the Lord Mayor inspected it before opening to the public for a sum of 5 shillings to go round and look inside. Now, it only took out 3 ships, but 2 of which were sunk using its deck gun. The flag seen here was flown underneath the Union Jack. And here we have U-1023, captured in 1945 and seen here at Pomona Dock in Manchester. Now, this attacked 2 ships, only sinking 1, a Norwegian minesweeper. Both boats entered their respective conflicts late on, which explains why they were still in good condition, but it was U-boats of this type which sent many ships to the bottom of the sea. Just behind me there's the old swing bridge, which I don't know whether you can just see in the shot there at the back. We're just going to go down and take a look at that now. Let's go and have a look. This is Old Quay Bridge, one of many along the canal. It was built in about 1894. It just shows how good the engineering was back then. It's operated by a hydraulic system, which is powered by 2 Crossley diesel engines and pumps. They have 2 engines and 1 is used for the backup. Now, the red brick buildings you can see, they contain the engines, a giant gravitational piston and a control room. So I'm back at Cadishead, just behind me. It's been a long day, it's getting dark, I want to go home, but it's been a cracking day. I hope you've learned something. Now, I just want to leave you with a little thought of all the people that actually built this great waterway and all its bridges, but most of all, the people who were out in the Irish Sea that should have sailed back up this waterway to Manchester, but never quite made it thanks to the German U-boats.